You're listening to the My Simplified Life Podcast, and this is episode number 300. Welcome to the My Simplified Life Podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, author of How to Get On Podcasts, the podcast matchmaker, and CEO and founder of the MLG Collective. I'm excited to share the stories and life lessons of changemakers and authors with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life.
Yay!
Hey, Steph. Yay, 300.
I am so honored to be the guest on the 300th episode. That's
the
so
co-host.
Exciting. I know, the co-host. You're right. I'm not a guest anymore.
Yeah, you're not a guest. This is your
I
house.
am so excited that our co-hosting journey landed on this 300th episode. That is exciting.
It went by fast.
It did. Oh my gosh. How
Yeah.
exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. And if we're just going to kick off with good news.
Yeah.
This morning, I got an email that the show is Webby nominated for
Yay!
Best Lifestyle Podcast.
Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are those in-person awards or are those like...
I think that there is an in-person component, and I think you get like 5 words to accept whatever it is.
Oh.
But there's 2 parts to it. There's the voter award. So starting today, everybody can vote.
Okay.
And then there's also the Academy award.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
So now I have to go promote the crap out of myself in the show. So
yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I am honored to be a small part of this amazing podcast. It's so fun. It's just the most fun.
It is a lot of fun. I absolutely love this. So it feels like I was talking to an author friend this morning and saying, like, I feel nervous and yet I'm excited about all of this because it's a big deal for in the podcast world to regular old people. They're like, what? Okay, great.
That's huge. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So you have to go vote every day.
I will. I'm gonna vote every day. Set your reminders. Everybody's listening.
Yes.
For My Simplified Life. Wow, it's good. I'm not doing the intro. My Simplified Life. With
what's in your coffee this morning?
Exactly. It is coffee. I have not had my Adderall yet because I need to get the prescription filled. So that'll be interesting. Oh my goodness. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
What are some of your favorite moments of the last 300 episodes? Like, can you think of
one of them was you for
sure?
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm
that
honored.
was a big deal. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything where I walk away going, wow. I feel like that's with every episode.
Yeah. Wow. What a amazing life to be able to do that, for your job and get to walk away and feel so fulfilled. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And to meet people that I wouldn't otherwise meet and to hear these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations. That is so exciting.
You.
What a day. What an exciting day.
I know. And it's not even 9 a.m. here.
And you're killing it. Like already. Good for you. Oh my goodness. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm no Cory Booker. Now that if we want to talk about someone killing it today, that man is killing it.
Okay. I don't know what happened with Cory Booker. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness. Know. He is, as of right this moment, he is on hour number 16 of talking.
Oh my goodness.
On the house floor.
How did I miss that? This is what happens when I dig my head into books and don't pay attention to the world.
Hour number 16, and it's technically not a filibuster because they're not voting on anything.
Oh my God.
He is just using this time to talk, and he's not reading from a phone book. He's not reading things. He read some letters from constituents, but he is on fire.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is incredible. Maybe we clip out the part where I don't know what's happening with Cory Booker. I apologize to all our listeners. Sometimes I'm very aware. Sometimes I have been digging into a Meghan Quinn series and have not resurfaced for air.
But
And
that is good
that's
because
been happening this week.
I've been tied to my phone
Yeah.
since
Well,
I had to
but
mute
that's
it.
exciting. That's like a a Jimmy Stewart moment, like this
That's
is
what
this
Ted
huge
keeps saying.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I mean, this is
Yes.
history in the making. Okay, well now I will pay attention. I apologize. It's like you go into like a deep dive about what's happening on the earth, in the world, specifically our country, and then you need to take a breather, and you're just like, woo, but then you miss important things like this happening right now. That's so inspiring. That makes me want to bring tears to my eyes.
Wait till you read the quotes.
Oh my gosh.
If America hasn't broken your heart yet, then you don't love her enough.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I am not sorry for living under a Meghan Quinn shaped rock, because I love her books, but I am sorry for missing this.
It's okay. He's going to keep going. He plans
keep
on going
Now
until he physically can't do it. And I didn't realize, I thought that he was yielding. He's yielded to Senator Murphy, to Schumer, to Klobuchar, I believe to Warren. And I thought he yielded to them so he could take a potty break.
Mm-hmm.
Potty breaks aren't allowed. No going to the bathroom, no eating, no drinking.
Oh my gosh. I mean, he's going to pass out. Like, that's wow.
And he said he's going to go until he physically is unable to.
That is heroic. I mean, that's heroic and incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
don't you love that I am your co-host? I'm so informed.
No, but this is what it's about, because we need to talk about it and inform each other.
Yes, because it's like you hear things about, top secret war plans being texted out, and then you're like, I'm going to dig in a hole for a little while because I need a breather from this. And then you're missing this heroic moment. And that is incredible. Oh my goodness. That is awesome.
His team is on it. We are getting clips. So I'm now part of the first ever Senate Democrat content creator influencer program.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Good for you. Oh my gosh, Michelle.
We had a kickoff call last week. And of course, then this comes up and we're like, oh my goodness. So the signal chats, because now I have top secret war plans too.
Yeah, you do.
I had to mute them last night so I go to bed because it kept going off. I'm like, oh, that's too many. Oh
my gosh, that's incredible. Wow. I mean, that is just heroic. I mean, a moment in history that, like, I think each generation is defined by moments where there was periods of great revolt, right? And depending on what side you are, you're either proud of it or not proud of it. But I think they're always some of the most powerful moments of humanity for someone to step up and say, even to the detriment of my physical body, I will speak up for what is right. And I think that is so incredibly powerful. And wow, Cory Booker. Okay.
Yeah.
Paying attention now. I'm back in. I'm diving back in, you guys.
We're going to tap you in.
Tap it in. I will keep reading Meghan Quinn. Just I'll be a little more informed.
Okay. You can just have C-SPAN on in the background or something, or he's got his TikTok live. He's got his Instagram live. YouTube is streaming. He's everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Everywhere.
Amazing. Well, it shows you how much I've been paying attention online. I haven't even really gotten on TikTok recently, besides to like post random like pie videos and then pop off, because it was spring break this last week. So
How was that?
It was good. I think we've established that what I need to do is to always have a plan in place for the day. I need to not have just open time, because I had so many things I wanted to do, like adventures with my kids and making fun pies, that have been on my list for a while that I haven't been able to get to, or deep cleaning my house, which is something that really needs to happen. Taxes. We are coming to the deadline of these. So there are things needed to be done. And I did not do that. I don't know what I did all week, honestly, Michelle. I did try to spend time with my kids. It was like pulling like barnacles off of like clams or whatever they go on. Like, I could not get these kids out of the house because they are in that age where they just want to be like, be home and play Minecraft with their buddies or, like chill at home. And I am a homebody too. So they come by this honestly. But I'm like, let's go. We have one of the nation's best zoos here. And I'm it's literally 10 minutes from our house. I'm like, let's go to the zoo. No, we don't feel like it. So I finally, one day, I forced them out of the house and we went to a splatter room downtown, which was really fun. And we got to just like throw paint around. And that was really fun. Yeah. I thought they'd think that was fun. And I probably had more fun with it than they did. They were very like delicate with the painting process. So
you had something to get out.
I did. I had lots to get out, but they were playing all these like 90s, early 2000s, like alternative rock, like jams, right? So I was like feeling all the angst, like all of my feelings. And so it was amazing. It was good. Fun. Anyway, so that was my week. It was good. I just need to have a plan in place for what I want to accomplish each day. And I think everybody should. And I
have a checklist. There's always a checklist.
And that's so good. How do you narrow down your checklist? How do you decide? Do you do like 3 things you have to accomplish? Because if we were to list everything, like it would be 100 pages long. So how do you prioritize that?
If it's work stuff, it's client work gets prioritized. And I always try to prioritize the things I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And then I reward myself. I'm very big on rewards.
Good. How do you reward yourself?
Whether it is I get to read a book or take a break or eat a candy bar.
Yeah. Good. I love that.
Or just do something fun or scroll.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I don't get to the stuff that I hate first, then it just won't get done.
Yeah. It's like that quote about eating the frog. If you eat a frog at the beginning of the day, then the rest of the day is going to be better or something. Basically, like do your worst tasks first, and then you're almost guaranteed a better day. So
yes, it's the truth. Yeah. And things do sometimes get moved. Like I worked on one of the things yesterday and it got halfway done. So then it moves to today that I know I have to get it done.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah. I've always been a list person though.
I love that. I do have a lot of lists. I'm not great at like prioritizing. I am trying to learn and I don't want to feel like I'm always blaming everything on my ADHD, but as a woman who was diagnosed late in life, I'm so sorry. I've had this, I think we had COVID. It was horrible. And my voice is still not back to normal. Anyway, I have learned that I'm trying to work with my brain now, instead of just fighting against it. I'm trying to learn like its rhythms. And anyway, and so this last week, I think when I had so much endless time, it was kind of this paralysis of all these things I wanted to do. So you kind of just sit because you're not sure what to do first. And then your dopamine gets low because you're not doing anything, you're not doing productive things. So then I woke up one morning and I was like, okay, boys, we're either road tripping to Dallas or Mount Rushmore. And they were like, what? No. And so that was the splatter day. They realized like, this lady's nuts. We got to get out of the house with her. Cause she like, it's like, they're like, we need to take her out of the house cause she's not functioning. She wants to drive us to Mount Rushmore.
Mom needs to get out.
Yeah. Bishop was like, my youngest, he was like, I've seen Mount Rushmore. And I said, you have not. And he said, I saw a picture of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So we did neither. And that's okay. We're learning every day. Every day, what I try to do is I get really hard on myself, but then I try to think about how could I do tomorrow differently? And that's how we learn and grow. Mm-hmm. And so from now on, I now know I really do need to have a plan for the day, like even just 3 things that these are the things I need to do today. And then the rest of it can be just staring at the wall, whatever.
Or every other day too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we did that during the last break. We said, okay, these days are going to be out of the house, go somewhere, do something days. But then these other days, we don't have to do anything.
I love that.
So even just balancing it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a great plan. How do you handle summer break with your work? And I know we were talking about something so inspirational. Now we're down to lifestyle, how to live, so we're all over the place, but I am curious how you handle summer break.
So I believe that summer camps are very expensive and stupid.
Yes.
So Katie's in one for a week, a cooking camp with a friend, but that is it. Last year she did a soccer camp with a friend for 1 week. that was it.
Okay.
We do have a swimming pool, which
Nice.
we use regularly. The moment
Yeah.
the sun is out, the solar goes on, it is heated. So I block my days after lunch.
Great.
And I have ever since they were younger. So they do get a lot of screen time, but they are now at that age where they can play with the neighbor kids.
Mhm.
So the mornings will be play. You're on your own. I'll fix you breakfast. I'll fix you lunch. And
Mhm.
then in the afternoon, we all just sit by the pool. And
I
sometimes
love
I bring a
that.
book. Sometimes I might have to bring work.
Yeah.
Last year, I know I took some Zoom calls outside and I was
Yeah.
like, well, it's summer and I'm a mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. That's
How do you
amazing.
deal with it?
I traditionally have done I've done the same thing where I work in the mornings and then we head to the pool. We don't have a pool at our home because Colorado, it's not super conducive to have pools just because, I mean, we do get a lot of sunshine, but it can be chilly. We have a neighborhood pool that we're members of. And so we will go there in the afternoons. The thing I struggle with though is I may swap it this summer and do like adventure in the morning and then come home and work, which I'm a little nervous. I'll it's like, it'll be hard to like get in the groove when we get home, but we have a lot of afternoon rainstorms. And so I get, the morning is really the best time to like go to the zoo, go to the pool, go do those things and then come home and then work. So we will see. I'm probably just I'm going to set a plan as we've established. I'm going to set a plan and then I'm going to look at the weather and then I'll make the judgment then. But I do reduce my hours significantly in the summer because I want to soak up as much time with my kids as possible. I mean, all they want to do is like play Minecraft. So I am forcing them to hang out with me.
Yes.
But you know what we did do this last week? I think I mentioned this when we talked last, is we'd go outside and lay on the trampoline and like stargaze. And that was really fun.
That's
So,
sweet. And it's nice that we can do things at nighttime too.
yes.
And last year we bought one of those fire things,
Yeah,
in the
pit.
middle. Yeah, fire pit thing.
Yeah.
So just to get out there and
spend that time.
Then of course I still try to enforce bedtime. So
yes. Yeah. That's good. It's good. It's important
we
for the
stick
kids
to
and the
routine.
parents. That's good. Well, I think the routine is really helpful for kids. So it is good. We're just doing the best we can. I love that. Well, I am proud of you, Michelle. You're killing it.
I'm proud of you.
In your podcast. And I am proud of Cory Booker now that I know. I am very proud.
Go Cory.
That is amazing.
So something popped into my mind last night that I thought, I'm going to bring this up to Steph.
Yeah.
I just finished reading All the Signs by Jesse Rosen.
Okay.
And there's a lot of astrology in it and stuff. I don't know if you believe in astrology or like you follow it.
Not really, no.
No. Okay.
Okay.
I know that I'm a Cancer. I get a daily horoscope. Sometimes I read it. I don't.
Nice.
I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But do you believe in signs?
I do. I mean, I'd say I come at it from more of a religious point of view because I am, for people who don't know, I am it's hard. We used to classify it as like evangelical Christian, but the term Christian has such a negative connotation now. And so I have a very close relationship with Christ. That's really important to me, and who he is. And so, I believe in signs from God, for me, like from him, like that's what I see, but I don't know. But I respect people who see signs from the universe or, I believe there's a higher power like guiding us, and whether that's different for other people, for me, it's, my relationship with God. But so I see signs in different things and I'll be like, okay, I think I'm supposed to do that. But I am a very logical person. And so I always have to balance that with like logic and be like, okay, my gut's saying this, or this looks like something I should do. But like logically, is it right? That kind of a thing. So that's where I land. But I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'm both because like if there's something going on, I'm questioning it. I will I will straight up say, God, you got to give me a sign. Like tell me something. Which way should I be going?
Yeah.
But I also learn to recognize when things keep popping up.
Yes.
So like, I think we talked about Buddhism the other day and how I was like, okay, well that keeps popping up and like meditation, the word grace keeps popping up. And I love
One of
that
my favorite
word.
words. Yep.
I love it. I'm like, oh, I want grace. I want to feel grace because to me,
Mhm.
grace equals calm. It equals just peace. It's like everything is right
Mhm.
in the world. And so the word grace keeps popping up. And we were at the library. They had a book sale this weekend.
Ooh.
And there was a Jimmy Carter book. And
Ooh.
it was on getting spiritual and daily meditations. I was like, yep, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I will buy that. So I've incorporated that into my morning routine. And
Hmm.
again, I think in 3 different places, the word grace came up, not in 3 places in his book, in
Mhm.
his book, in the pivot year that is part of my morning routine. And
Yeah.
then there was something else. I'm like, okay, we got
Yeah.
to pay attention to this. So and plus I'm reading this book, finished all the signs, like the
Yeah.
signs, they're all
Yeah.
pointing towards something.
Yeah. What do you feel like grace is pointing you to, that concept?
I I love the one time that I go back to was when I was on Necker Island for a week, and there was
Where is that?
absolutely, the British Virgin Islands.
Ooh, fancy.
And I felt like there was just this peaceful grace, like everything was calm. And I
Mm.
always feel like that when I'm ever at the ocean, at the
Mhm.
beach, there is just nothing.
Mhm.
And then I come home and I think, okay, well, do I feel this way because there's no laundry to do? There's no rat race. There's no hurrying to get to another place.
Mhm.
And for a while I thought, oh yeah, that's why, because it's truly a vacation. But then
Mhm.
the more I thought about it, the more I thought, when you look at the ocean and you see this massive just body that goes on forever,
Mhm.
what does that bring to me? This peace, this wonderment, this,
Mhm.
knowledge and no knowledge of what else is out there,
Right.
what's next for me. And I think that that's really what all of that is. And so how do I bring that into my everyday life?
Mhm.
Because especially right now, it's chaos, it
Mhm.
seems, and not chaos that I'm putting on myself to an
Right.
extent. I mean, when you pay attention to the news and stuff, then you do create that chaos in your own life. But,
Yeah.
how do I tackle all of these things in personal life, in work life, in podcast life, in
Mhm.
political life to ensure that there's still a grace amongst myself
Mm.
in all that
Yeah.
I'm doing?
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
So now I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning instead of 6.
Good for you. What are you doing at 5:30 in the morning?
I first start with the pivot year. I
Okay.
read the passage for the day. I
Okay.
journal it.
Mhm.
Then I am moving on to Jimmy Carter's spiritual meditation book,
Okay.
read a chapter.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading, because that gives me too much calm. I then am reading On Tyranny and, and what to look out
Oh my
for. So
gosh.
that raises it up just a bit of, oh,
Yeah.
what are we fighting against happening
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
And then I might open up my phone to start scrolling and look. And
Mhm.
then I started reading Careless People, the
Mm.
meta memoir, which
How's
again
that
is
going?
like, okay, I just started it
Okay.
yesterday, the day before.
Okay.
It's interesting.
I need to read that with you. I need to dive into that.
Oh,
I'm
you
a
should
little
totally
scared.
do it. Yes, yes. So it's a little bit of calm. How do I
Mhm.
start my day? To we will fight.
Yeah. That's great. You're gearing up for battle. You are gearing up for battle, and that is important. Well,
Yeah, I
good
don't
for
want
you.
battle. I want the grace, but I,
Yeah.
I feel like we have to see the potential of what could happen if we aren't paying attention
Mhm.
or we sit back.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is important to be informed and to know. And that's amazing. That sounds like a great morning schedule. I have been wanting to get up at 5:30 a.m. just for, some alone time as well.
Yeah.
Just, time with me and my God and coffee and, maybe a little time on the treadmill, something, like Mel Robbins always
Yeah.
talking about getting your body moving, even for like 10 minutes, and so um I do think as I age, getting up earlier in the morning, there is such a grace to the fresh start of a new day. There is such a beauty and a calm. I love the smell as spring starts to come in and during the summers as you go out and the first thing in the morning and it's like the sun is just barely coming up, but you can smell the earth and it smells new,
Hmm.
and there is something, it always reminds me of that Anne of Green Gables quote that's, they said tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it yet. And just like a beautiful, fresh start. And I think it's always so good for the soul. And I have found I do better as a mom if I'm up and doing that versus like, we're late, like run,
Yeah.
run, trying to get everything ready. And I think it's important for everybody to take spots of the day where it works for you and your schedule, where you can just sit and be, and whether it's learning or just sit and meditate on, the day, or like what's coming up, or scriptures, or a daily book you're reading, or things like that, just to kind of calm and center yourself and say, okay, I'm ready for what this day holds, and
Yeah.
what a gift that is. So I love that. I think that's beautiful.
And you just reminded me of the other sign that I thought was kind of weird that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I was driving the kids to school, and of course in California, we've got all the poppies are blooming right now. They look so pretty. And I was at a stoplight and I looked in the median, and there were the poppies, but they were closed because it was
Mm.
cold and this and that, in the morning. And then I recorded a solo episode, and I
Mm.
mentioned that, and how seeing beauty all around us is part of the resistance that,
Mm.
in this chaotic world, if we look and see beauty, that is joy, and that is resisting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was finishing up the intro to meditation book that I was listening to. And
Yeah.
he mentioned the poppies and how they close at night to protect themselves. And they open. I
Ooh,
went, oh, I
that's
literally just
cool.
said this and noticed it.
I
So
love that. That's amazing. I do love when stuff like that happens.
yeah,
So it's
so
so
random.
special. Yeah, absolutely.
What it means, I
Mhm.
don't know, but
Yeah. But it's special. I mean, see, I take that as for me, I take that as like just this little moment from God to say, hey, like, I see you, like I see, whether it just be something little, like, just that reminder that I have value, and, my life has a purpose, and I am seen, whether it just be this little, like kind of nudge. And I love moments like that. I think it's really powerful. So that's
and
so
needed.
cool and needed.
So needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cause it is hard. Life is hard. It is very hard. So having those little moments of beauty and I think you have to train yourself to see them. One of my very favorite books I read it's a fiction book called Happiness for Beginners by Catherine Senner. And it's one of her earlier books. And I recommend it to everybody. And that goes through the psychology of happiness. Now, the whole book is about this woman who's, I think she's late 30s, maybe she's younger than that. I don't know. And she's going through a divorce, and she decides to go on this like hike. Have you read Happiness for Beginners?
No.
It's also a movie on Netflix. You can also watch it on Netflix. And it's basically, she decides to go on this hike with a bunch of like college students, and she feels like this like old lady, like basically, and it's this hard 2 week, it said hiking for beginners, but it was like basically like this, you could die on this hike essentially. And she was not prepared. But she's going, to kind of like sort out her life, which I can relate to. It's like you go through something traumatic, like a divorce or a hard time, and you're like, I'm going to go climb a mountain, like I am going to go find myself. And so she does this, and it's hilarious and fun. And there's this sweet romance, and I love the book so much. But one of the things that always stuck out to me is this psychology of happiness that basically says the things you choose to notice and remember becomes the story of your life. And so there is a lot of psychology behind like choosing, 3 good things, and you hear people say that, what are 3 good things that happened today? But Catherine talks about how that was actually a practice for her because she tends to be more fearful and pessimistic. And the practice of saying, okay, these are 3 good things that happened today. And it can be the littlest things like, my coffee was hot, or the morning smelled fresh, or, I didn't get hit by that car, or I don't know, something. And that becomes the story of your life. And what you choose to focus on ends up being what you'll remember. And because our brains almost tend to remember the negative much easier than they remember the positive. Yes. And so we have to make an active practice of choosing that positivity and choosing to see the good, because there is good in each day. Goodness does exist. And it may be really hard to see some days. And so some days maybe you see it in just the reminder of poppies protecting themselves, knowing that they will flourish when the time is right and that it's safe. And, or just moments like that to say like, hey, this is, and then that becomes the story of your life. And I've always loved that. I've loved that concept. And I try to do that for myself. And I try to remind my husband to do it because he tends to be on the more negative side of things. And even my boys, tell me 3 things that happened today that are good, because I do want to hear the negative things that happen to them for sure. But that's typically what they tell me. They tell me their complaints.
Right.
They don't tell me a lot of their positives or focus on the positives. And I do think you kind of have to train yourself to do that, especially when the news is so overwhelming or life is so overwhelming, or you have a sick, family member, or, like when things are just barreling down on you, to take a minute to just appreciate those small mercies, those small graces, to say, I was able to have a hot cup of coffee this morning in silence for 5 minutes. That's something good that happened this day, I think it's really important.
You literally just summed up the book, The Joy Reset, that hasn't come out yet, that I just finished this week as well, because she talks about finding joy. And MC McDonald, she has the Tiny Joy Project, Tiny Little Joy Project, where she finds something small every day that we need to find joy in, and how joy is sometimes hard when you have shame or trauma or there's guilt involved.
Yes.
And then the other thing you reminded me of is the photo book, Still. I don't know if you can see it behind me. Still, The Art of Noticing by Mary Jo Hoffman. Mary Jo decided that she was going to take a photo every day of something that she found in nature. And then it became a project over a decade.
Wow.
That turned into a book. And she also, is it Chinese, Japanese? I'm going to get this wrong, but there are actually 72 micro seasons. It's not just 4 seasons. So if you, and this is what I learned in reading the book.
Yeah.
If you're looking out your kitchen window and you see a tree, and I started doing this once I read the book, every 5 days, the tree will change.
I love that.
So it's that noticing and that pausing of, okay, here I am washing my dishes. I'm going to look at my neighbor's tree, and she knows it now. I've pointed it out enough times. I'm like, look at your tree every 5 days. It changes.
That's amazing. But
just paying attention to these small things that, they matter. And if you look at the small things, imagine what an impact it has.
Absolutely.
It's so much big. The world is so much bigger than us. And I think we often forget. We live in our little bubbles of worlds, and, the sky is falling, and yet there's so much more to it.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, that's one of the things, like when you were saying sitting by the ocean, I think there is something very therapeutic in realizing there are much bigger things than us, that like there are much bigger things going on, like just taking a moment to sit and stare at the stars, or sit before this, like we said, a massive sea, it's just this, I'm sorry, I need to brew my coffee early enough so that it doesn't beep when we talk. Every week this happens. Okay. Anyway, I think that it's needed, like, to focus on that there is so much bigger things than just us, and we are valuable, and we are important, and we have a purpose for being here, and we do impact people's lives, hopefully in a positive way. But there's things that are so much bigger than us that are out of our hands. And I know that can also cause anxiety, but I think for me, it's calming to be like, okay, I can't control everything. I can't be in charge of everything. Not everything is my responsibility. And to just kind of let that go and say, okay, I will be responsible for what is in front of me today, what is put in my, plate today. And I think it gets really easy to want to tackle big things, and we want to tackle big things. And then for me, sometimes I neglect the responsibilities I have sitting right in front of me. Like, hey, I've got these amazing kids that are big responsibility on their own, and to focus in on that. Like, but I do. I think it's really soothing, and probably, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't tell you this for sure, but I feel like that's probably one of the reasons it's so calming for you, and for all of us when we sit by the ocean to realize like, hey, I am not going to be able to change the whole world, and that's okay. And there's almost a peace in that.
Yeah.
One person can absolutely start a fire and make a huge change, right? But when you take on the responsibility of everything and you feel like everything is your responsibility, then you're just burdened and you're weary because no one can hold it all. And I think there is a peace in kind of letting that go and say, okay, I will choose to be responsible and a good steward of what I have today, and the opportunities that come in front of me. And you do that beautifully.
Well, thank you. We went so deep.
We did. We've been going deeper. I'm going to go back and keep paying attention to the news. What other books have you been reading? You've told me several. So
yes.
Tell me more.
I just started reading A Garden Wedding.
Ooh, yay. I can't wait to read that.
Let me bring it up because it's so pretty.
So beautiful. That cover is so
I know.
pretty.
Rosie Lee.
She's the best.
She is. And I'm reading it at night. I told her I'm reading it at night because the Careless People is a really big hardcover book and it is too big to take to bed. So I have that both in the paperback and on my Kindle. So she's my before bed read. And then I also started reading the title is so long. The things that they will tell you are true. It's something like that. It's a very long title, but it is essays that start from basically when you're an infant to becoming a grown-up. And I believe that the essays are for the author's daughters.
Wow.
And I think that's what it is. Okay. And it's just, they will tell you that, you will be able to crawl. And if you put one hand in front of the other and then one leg in front of the other, you will be able to do it. And then they put an object in and then they move it. And
yeah.
So I just started that one this week too.
Awesome. I love that. That sounds amazing.
What are you reading besides Megan Quinn?
I just listened to an advanced listening copy of the new Peter Swanson. It comes out this summer. He is a thriller author. But he writes more like literary mystery. And there is something about his books that feels so comforting to me. I think maybe because they're all set like on the East Coast, and it reminds me of like sitting with my grandma and hearing her thick Boston accent and just like digging into an Agatha Christie. And so I really loved his most recent book. I felt like it was really nuanced and interesting and kind of a little different than what he usually does. I don't know how everybody else is going to respond, but I really loved that. So I've been reading a couple advanced things and diving into Megan Quinn a little bit this week. And then I do need to do a reread before Thursday of Alice Feeney's Beautiful Ugly, because I have book club this week, and that is our pick, and that's a good one. It's a good one. And I have read it, but I want to refresh I have
not read it, but it's on my bookshelf behind me.
It's so good. I think I told you that's like the feminine rage, like thriller. It's so good. She does such a good job of setting like the atmosphere, and her books, her male characters in her books are always narrated by Richard Armitage. I don't know if you know who he is. He's been in various shows and he's an actor, but then he also does a lot of narration. He's now an author himself. I love his voice. I mean, I love him. I love him very much. And he narrates this book and he does a phenomenal job. And it's just like a really satisfying thriller set on this remote Scottish island. This like author who lost his wife tragically one night and she just disappeared. He had no idea where she is, and he hasn't been able to write for a year. So a friend like sends him to this like writer's cottage on this remote Scottish island, and then some weird stuff happens, and then he starts to think he's seeing his wife, and like, how would she be here? It's really good.
I love it. Do you ever feel like you're adding too many books? Because when we went to the library book sale, I bought more.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, there's never going to be enough time. There's never going to be enough time. And I haven't been reading a nonfiction read recent, like this last week, and I need to add one back in because I do like to keep a balance. I typically read fiction because it's what like soothes me and helps me escape, but I also feel like I learn a lot from it. But I love digging into like memoirs and, just stories of like what's happening in the world. And so I do love a good nonfiction. I need to bring one in. I think I'll probably start Careless People because I need to dig into that.
Yeah. And then we can talk about it.
I
love it. You know what we should start? And I'll say this on the air so that way we do start it, is we'll create a bookshop.org link with all of the books that you and I talk about and are reading. And then that way there's somewhere for everybody to go.
Yes, that's a beautiful plan. I love that so much.
We will do that.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, my friend.
Okay.
Let's go save the world.
Let's save the world. We're going to do it. And I'm going to pay attention to what is happening in the news.